Oh, thank you.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Big
All
brother
right.
is watching.
Okay.
Didn't sound like Bob, though.
All right. So it is on. I'll be prepared to get everybody else in as they come.
Okay. Jane, you ready?
So do you want to open with prayer?
All right, yeah. Could we open with a prayer, please?
Sure. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this day. We thank you for the sunshine and the warmth, the taste of summer today. And we thank you for the gathering tonight in this council. We ask your leadership in going through the agenda tonight and your leadership indeed in the rest of our lives. So we thank you for your presence and we praise you always in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So I don't know if you all know that our DS had some surgery yesterday to remove her gallbladder. And so she's going to be out of commission for a little bit. If I received a letter from the bishop today indicating a substitute for any problems that we might have in the meantime while she's recovering before she returns to the office. So if you have any concerns or problems with the district, let me know and I'll direct you to the right place.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else, Pastor? We'll do the minutes from a previous meeting.
I have a couple corrections, Bob.
Okay.
I would love to have Meredith Krieber come to the meetings, but it was Teresa, not Meredith.
Hey, if you want her, I can go home and let me go up to bed. The kids are wiping me out this week.
Yeah, getting near the end of the year.
Yep, we have 15 days left.
And some cheese with that wine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also in the review of the minutes where it says 1A, Cheryl will purchase the pumps. They were already purchased. I just had to be there Palm Sunday to hand them out. And then way back on letter K, like in Kevin, it should be we owe nothing, not own nothing.
Where are you?
I own
We own
nothing.
I
nothing.
owe nothing too, Jeffrey, yeah,
Where are you reading from right now?
for the last minutes.
No, the last thing you said.
Oh, the last
okay.
one was letter K, like in Kevin, where it says old business. It says we owe, should say we owe nothing, not own nothing. It's
Oh.
regarding the PPP loan status.
Right here, Bob. That should say.
That was such a blessing.
Say that again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just wish we qualified for the second one.
Hey, do you have anything else?
No, I think that's it, Bob, for me.
Anybody else?
Well, if that's all the corrections, can we
I
move?
make a motion that we accept the minutes with the corrections.
I'll second it.
Sorry,
Okay.
Dan, didn't mean to step on you.
Okay,
Do I have a second?
I second.
And Hank say.
Those in agreement, say
Aye.
Aye.
those that aren't in acceptance.
Okay.
Okay, so it's unanimous. Okay. The next thing we're going to is the hold on. Forget my- okay, so that takes care of the opening prayer, the review of the minutes, and we're going to move on to pastor's time. The agenda.
Oh, you want me to say something?
Oh, definitely. We need somebody to blame for everything, that's why.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm the one.
Good luck.
I haven't really written anything down. I've been too busy vacationing. So I think the two main things that I want to talk about is the Together for Tomorrow grant application. I got that in on time, the committee at conference. And we have to wait until they peruse all of the applications and decide which ones to grant or which one to grant. So we're kind of in limbo until sometime next month on that. And the director of the ministry was clear that we wouldn't hear anything for a while. So I just want to say that.
Any idea how many other people submitted?
Well, there's at least 17 others in our district. And we have 6 other districts. And I don't know how many in those districts also submitted applications. So I kind of think our chances are slim of actually getting the grant, but prayer works a lot for increasing our chances. So I would invite all of us to pray that we would be able to do that, to begin a live streaming ministry. But like I say, it's probably going to be at least another 3 weeks before we hear anything, one way or the other.
Pastor, one of the things is, I don't know if you have a copy of the agenda.
Okay.
With the, but we had some things that we had talked about in the development. Just to the
Hang on.
congregation development grant.
I got to get you closer so I can hear you. Go ahead.
For the congregational development grant application, one of the things that we had 3 different items that that you had spoken that you would talk about. One is, why is streaming ministry necessary?
Okay.
How could it benefit our church? And what is the total cost? And our last thing under total cost, we just say spending would only be necessary if the grant is awarded to us. In other words, if we're not a great, and when we voted previously on a meeting, we had appeared to go along with it if we got the grant of 50% off.
It's the matching, it's a matching grant, so we would have to spend money to receive the grant. And in regard to that, Dennis and I believe Geo were all for the trustees supporting that outlay.
But you don't have to pay that ahead of time. That's only if the grant comes through.
Right.
Right.
But correct me if I'm wrong, Hank. Believe that's where it went.
Yeah, that was my understanding of it.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So that we wouldn't have to draw funds from our pledges to purchase the equipment. The trustees would be available to support that,
Yeah.
the outlay of the needed necessary funds. Now, why is it needed?
Why is the streaming necessary?
All right. I'll speak to that a little bit. It's kind of a dream of mine, let's say. It's an outreach that we don't have in our church at the moment. The live stream would hopefully attract a different aspect of our congregation, shall we say? Younger folk who are active on Facebook and on YouTube, who might just check in online without the necessity of having to go into the sanctuary. My hope and my dream is that we can broadcast our services while we are doing them with kind of a focus on such an audience, such a congregation. And by doing so, we would also, I would hope, be flexible in the way that we receive funds into the church. I'm not familiar with a lot of the modern ways of transferring money from one place to another. I've heard names like Venmo and things like that, but I'm not sure how they work or anything. But I think we need to look into, with our streaming, ways to receive funds as well.
Let me jump in here for a minute.
Sure.
The software that I use to record the donation, well, it is actually called Donations. I just got an email from them this past week that says that they have joined forces with, and I can't remember who it was, another company, and people can make donations online to that website, and I can import that information directly from I think Donations
Mhm.
into the program. And so we do have the capabilities to be able to receive contributions online without having to go through Venmo or PayPal or something like that.
Mhm.
And I can forward the email to everyone who is on Bob's distribution list, or I can send it to you, Pastor, and you can distribute it to everyone. But we actually do have those capabilities.
Okay. So
Cheryl,
that's something new.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they had, it was available through them, I think through Venmo and via PayPal. If we did it through PayPal, the church would have to open up a PayPal account. People could make their contributions to PayPal, and then you go online to PayPal and you transfer the money from PayPal to to our accounts, or download it to wherever, wherever. But this is a new thing that they have just, like I said, just announced this. I just got an email from them. I think it was this past week, last week or early this week. I don't remember. But so yeah, we like I said, this program that I that he decided to use, and I've purchased the license, or it's a subscription, and I purchased it for us myself. It's actually a good little program. So, and they constantly send out updates. And the name of the program is Donations. If you want to go check it out online, you can check it out. But
Okay. Now, is that a hefty contribution?
oh no, it's either 50 or $100 a year. I can't remember. Initially, it might have been $100 for the initial, and then maybe to renew it, it was like 50. I think maybe that's what it is, but it's minimal.
Okay,
It's not an issue.
okay.
But what
Darrell, does this process skim any of the donation?
It didn't mention that if we went with, let's say, for instance, I looked into PayPal. If we went with PayPal, there would be a charge.
We know they do.
There would be a charge for that. I'm assuming that with Venmo, there's a similar charge. They take like it's like 2.2 or 2.3% or 2.9%. But if you're a nonprofit, you get a reduction to 2.2% or something like that per transaction, plus like a flat fee of like 30 cents or something to that effect. So, I mean, even the fee is like relatively minimal, but I didn't look, they didn't say that there were charges. So I don't really know, but I don't think there are any links. I'll forward the email and people can read the email
Sure.
but anyway, it's the thing about it is that this is directly through donations, and this is a company that they partnered with to set this up. So I'm guessing that if you have a subscription or a licensed version of donations, that there isn't a fee, and the advantage of it is that it downloads all of the information into donations, which is the amount and the contributor. Whereas with some of the other people like PayPal, it doesn't necessarily, you may get the money, but you may not get the donation. So I would probably have to enter that information manually. So with this new deal that they worked out, that's eliminated.
All right, well, why don't you go ahead and send that at least to the council?
Yeah, definitely. And the one thing I need to do, and I haven't had time to do it, but I should also install the software on Kathy's computer. So she has the information, you have the information at the church that I have here. Every time I back up the information, which is every week, it backs up to a remote server that they monitor, that they run. So she would be able to have access to the most current information. And the license allows you to do that, because the license is to the First United Methodist Church of Milford. It's not my personal license. It's the license to the church. So I can have a copy of it on my computer here that I use. And we also are allowed to have a copy of it on the church computer
Okay,
at no additional cost annually.
Quick
So I didn't-
question, Daryl. Would we have to open up a second account for this?
No,
A second church account?
I don't believe so. I need to do a little bit more research into it, but I believe that it's going to be offered through donations, which would mean that if people can go to a website, I can't remember the address, but they can go to a website and they can make donations on that website to our church. And then I think it's through donations, I will be able to go to that website and download the information. And I think the contributions
receive
go
the
directly.
funds.
Would go directly. I got to check into that a little bit more, but the way the email read was that it was a significant improvement above and beyond trying to do it through PayPal. Even if we did PayPal, we wouldn't have to open up a separate account, because the way PayPal works is people would make you open up a PayPal account and the money goes into the PayPal account. And then you go to your PayPal account, and then you download the money into your checking account. So we wouldn't need a separate account to do that. And even through PayPal, we would be protected. So we're not giving out our bank information.
I guess I'm just, worried about security, that's all.
Yeah, I think that they probably have that covered, I know even if we did it through PayPal, which would be another option, there's definitely that's very secure way to transfer money back and forth. So
Maybe we do both.
What, Dan?
I said maybe we do both.
well, we could. We could if we wanted to. I mean, we could do that now. I mean, we could, Kathy could set up a PayPal account for the church, and then you would have to have the people that did the website for the church, they could add a button to the website that says donate now, and they can hit that button, and it'll bring up the PayPal information. They would type in their PayPal username and password, and they would be able to donate to us through PayPal off of our website. And then she could go online, go to our PayPal account, and transfer the funds to anywhere, Could
Why
be,
don't we wait until we get your information, Daryl?
well, if you want to look, PayPal has a thing called PayPal for nonprofits. And if you go to paypalonline.com and you go to nonprofits, you can read all about how to set it up for nonprofits to receive donations online. And like I said, you create the button on PayPal. So we would have to have our web people go to the PayPal, log into our account, and they would create the donate button off of our account. And then they copy that code and they HTML code, and they plug it into the HTML code of our website, and we get a donate button. So we could do that now, and then I'll send out the information from donations, and I can look into that a little bit more about how that works. But
I just think that we need to have a broad base of donations beyond the people that come to the services. And,
we can definitely set up the PayPal thing right now, and it doesn't compromise our checking account, our financial information. I used to sell stuff on eBay, and I used to use PayPal, and I used to transfer money. I would sell stuff and I would buy buy stuff on, and it's very secure. So our accounts would not be compromised. But if Kathy if we wanted to look into that, like I said, go to paypal.com and go to contributions or go to nonprofits, and it's spelled out it's pretty straightforward. But we would have to have our website people would have to update the program, our website program to have the donate button as part of but we should definitely do that as one option.
yeah, that sounds promising.
So I don't know who the trustees. Charlotte worked with somebody, didn't she? It was an outside source. Was it through Tom
Yeah,
McGovern?
Companies in Hopedale, Daryl.
The website developers in Hopedale?
Yeah.
Well, I could get in touch with him. I mean, I'm like 5 minutes from Hopedale. So.
Hank, do you know the name of the company that the website was set up on with Charlotte?
I wasn't familiar with that operation. I know they said the company was in Hopedale, and I seem to recall it was like, what, $800 or something from to set it up in the first place.
Well, the first thing we would have to do is set up a PayPal account for the church. And, you know, I could do it, or Kathy could do it, or anybody can do it. And then once that is set up, then you give that information to them and they can go and create the donate button and then plug that code into our website. So that, I mean, it's a lot of churches do it that way. They use either PayPal or the other one, Vino.
Venmo,
Venmo.
Venmo.
So I'm not familiar with Venmo, but I'm familiar with PayPal, and so. And well, based on the information that I when I was researching this through donations, is that donations is more compatible with PayPal than Venmo. So in terms of tracking who donates and the amounts, I mean, so that's the stuff that I have to, you know, I can get the amounts, that's one thing, but then I need to know who made the contributions.
Where did it come from? Hmm.
And it's more compatible, but like I said, I'll send out the email that I got from them relative to the other website that they joined forces with, and maybe we just give that information to people, or we give them both. They can do it either way.
No, they can't do it till we set it up at our end.
Well, the one through donations is already set up. Once I find out what the website is that they have to go to make donations, that's already in place. And I'll send that email out. I'll dig it up. I'll send it out tomorrow. So that should be already in place.
Okay, so
Maybe
we're
person-
broadening our base a bit already. And we could make sure that we could include those accounts, those ways to donate on our website.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's the other thing that once I'll send the email out to people, but if that's available to us now, and we just need to give them, you know, the website, the link, and they can go there. And I don't know whether we're listed or not already. We may be, because we have a valid subscription or a current subscription. We may already be listed. They would just pick our church and say, make a donation. Again, I'll find out a little bit more information on it. Like I said, it just came in like about a week ago, and I'll get that out to people. But I believe that's
So
the
maybe
way I read.
all together,
Yeah,
we have a finance committee meeting.
Well, we could if we need to. I mean, I can shoot out the information and everybody can take a look at it. And
Okay,
then we decide if we need a meeting to discuss it.
all right. Well, it
My
sounds
hands is right
promising.
here, except for John Lemon.
Hmm.
Well, I don't think we're going to see John Lemon on Zoom, so.
No.
But anyway, so to be able to receive donations online, we do have those capabilities.
Okay, thank you.
Or we have one we need to set up ourselves, and the other one, I believe, has just been created for us.
Okay. And we just have to direct people toward it.
Yeah, so we would need to get in touch with the website developer to have them update our website to include that information so that we can receive donations online.
Do we need to get approval of the council in order for us to do this?
No.
I think we need to have it in writing where people could read it, make sure that, and then ask additional questions, you know, which Daryl has already said he's putting together. And a lot of times when you,
Yeah, we'll have the access to the information that Daryl's got by tomorrow.
well, like I said, once, I thought Daryl was indicating like on some of these, what's your Daryl, within the next week type of thing.
Oh, yeah, I'll find the email and send it out, forward it to everybody tomorrow. And I guess if council needed to make a decision regarding one thing or the other, I guess it would be whether or not we need council approval to set up a PayPal account for nonprofits for our church to allow us to receive donations through PayPal. I don't know that we necessarily need to do that, but if we wanted to be formal about it, we could say, yeah, we want to proceed with setting up a PayPal account to receive donations through PayPal off our website, in addition to receiving them through donations.
Okay.
So I guess that's the motion, if we want to vote on it, or if we want to just proceed with it. Either way, I don't know that we necessarily need a motion to do this, but
Well, I think.
Well,
once we
if
have-
you're gonna send out the emails that all that attend the church council normally, I mean,
I'm just
we're
saying,
sitting here, we heard your explanation. So questions would be from the ones that aren't attending tonight.
well, this will all be in the minutes. I mean, Kathy will record the minutes from the recording, so we could just all leave it in the minutes and review it at the next
So if
meeting.
you send out the email, then, we've got a bunch of questions coming in from the people that aren't.
Yeah, true. I mean, everybody who is on
Church
Bob's
council.
list will get the email.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you're sending out what's the word, I'm just all about this donations and PayPal, giving us that information, we may have questions. I don't want to I'll be honest with you, I do not want to go ahead and say, go ahead, Daryl, do it tonight. I want to see all the information. There may be questions.
I think it also, the district or something, because I think if we take that first step that you've already committed to, Daryl, where we can read things and try to digest it. I don't know about the rest of the people, but I know it's pretty complicated. And the question is what, does our church does our district already do this? And if so,
Yes, they do.
you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I don't believe that I don't know if the district has a policy regarding this specifically or not. My impression is that, from what I've read through my research, is it's basically done church by church. Individual church by individual church. I mean, and there are a lot of churches that do receive online donations via Venmo or PayPal. I mean, those are the two big ones that are out there. I know from checking into this a little bit when I was researching this through donations I was looking at, relative to donations is importing the information from either PayPal or Venmo into donations. And they're pretty much set up to do it through PayPal. It's a little bit convoluted, but if you wanted to go through Venmo or any other third-party company that you can go through, receive donations through, I would have to tell them who we were using, and they would try to tailor the program to allow it to work for us through them. So, but this new thing agreement that they've just established, I believe will make the whole process a lot easier. And so I would, if they have a site where you can go and donate to our church online, and the money gets directed to us, we could set up the PayPal thing too if you wanted to, but you know, donations has already kind of spearheaded this effort. And anyway, I'll send out the information. You guys can all read it, and we can talk about it a little bit more.
I think what that'll do too, Darrell, is all of the people within finance can study it and make sure that you're all aboard with it. Because I know personally, you know, it all sounds great, but I don't have I've got the idea of what we're trying to do, but anything beyond that, you know, like, it heavily depends on the whole group and their. All right, so then you'll go ahead and put this together and
Yeah, I'll forward the email to everybody. You guys can take a look at it. You can read it. If you want to learn more about the program that I'm using, it's called Donations. They're actually a Canadian company, but they're very good. They issue updates. They're very responsive. I mean, the service that they provide relative to the cost of the subscription is very high. So I've been very happy. We had to switch programs. We were using Membership Plus, which actually went out of business. The last version of Membership Plus that was available as an upgrade, I think the copy that we got from El Zybeg was 2008 or something like that. The last version that Membership Plus issued was 2012. You can't even find it any place. So I went out and started researching online different programs for nonprofits, and Donations seem to be, you know, a good one. So I said, what do you got to lose? I'll try it out for a year and see how it works. And so it's been great. And they keep expanding their what they provide, their service, especially with this expanding online donation capabilities because a lot of churches have, I mean, we've been slow to jump on this. A lot of other churches have been out on this a lot faster than we were, and have actually relied, I think, heavily on online donations. So
We're in the medieval ages compared to most of the other churches.
So hopefully we'll catch up. Well, at least maybe we'll get to the Renaissance.
That would be nice.
well, let's take the first step and we can start working from there. And one thing about having it written down, I don't know if there's any other groups that might want to see it like SPRC. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it should probably, you know, go out to the different committees and see what people say.
And then once they start getting it together, and at some point we would want to tell the superintendent, I should think.
Yeah, I mean, the thing through donations may just be as simple as putting on our website where to go to donate.
Well, I think
Because donations is not linked to any of our accounts directly. So we have no risk associated with that.
well, one of the things is in the minutes that we had put together was under that congregational development grant application is how could it benefit our church? Well, the thing is it could generate money, and we need a mechanism to be able to do that easily. So
Well, it don't generate more people attending online. Because you look at what we're doing now with Zoom.
but yeah, because if we do that,
With the numbers.
some of the things that Pastor sees as an efforts to choose it would help bring in some income. So the one thing is, before we leave the pastor's time, Pastor, the total cost for the congregational development grant application, that got changed a small amount from the one we actually voted on.
Yes, the initial quote from Revelation Productions was about $4,800. And I brought that proposal to Tom McGovern to let him look at what kind of equipment they're providing and all that stuff. And his recommendation was that the equipment they're providing is top notch. The camera that they quoted was a great tool for the online presence. But his recommendation was to add a second camera so that we could get more presence on the transmission. And so I sent out that proposal from Tom, the change in the Revelation proposal to those on the council, and asked for their recommendation to add the $800 that would ultimately add to the cost of the Revelation quote. And I only had 2 responses to that email, which were both positive. And most of the rest of you were silent on the change. But I went ahead and I indicated to congregational development that we would still be, we would like to have the extra camera to help us to expand our outreach in, in views and what have you. But that would, even with that additional amount of $800 for the camera and the cables, those related expenses, we would still be under the maximum amount of money that the Congregational Development Ministry would grant. The total expenditures that they would consider would be up to $6,000, with the grant being given for $3,000. So even with the extra camera, we're still under the maximum grant. It brought it up from 48 to 5,600. So again, we're waiting for congregational development to make their choice. I think the as far as Revelation is considered, who gave us the quote for the equipment, I think that will remain open until we say yay or nay. I did speak to the gentleman that gave us the quote. And he said that there would be no problem in adding another camera. Of course. So we'll just have to pray and see what happens. But I see this streaming as a way to get younger people involved in our service as well, in the broadcast end of it, to an audience that they relate to as well. I don't know who the personnel involved would be at this point. But you know, the baseball story, build it and they will come. Or just have faith and hope that that will happen. Right?
Right.
Right.
So the bottom line is the difference between the two costs is very small. So even though that little bit's been added on, would be 50% of what that additional would be half would be paid by the grant application, and the other 50% would be paid by us. And so that difference that we're paying is a pretty small amount of money. So I feel that what we voted is still within a reasonable threshold of monies. So, okay, does anybody have anything to ask the pastor? Hey, Pastor, do you have anything else you'd like to?
Well, the only other thing that I would like to address tonight is our reopening.
Okay.
We had a rather substantial reopening committee meeting 2 weeks ago. And decided to reopen on the first Sunday in June, but to change the venue from Fellowship Hall to the sanctuary.
That's what we discussed.
So I want to make sure that's where we still are. And I also want to make sure that we're all on the same page with what we need to do to actually get there.
Well, I know I said that I would go down on the 5th at Saturday and remove all the cushions and get them set. And I know Dennis said that he would go down during the week with the ropes to rope the sections off where people cannot sit.
While we're talking about that, I mentioned something to the pastor this evening before the meeting started, while everybody was having trouble getting on. I had had trouble as well, but I got on earlier. And I've read all this new business with the CDC guidelines with regard to surfaces. And the CDC has no issue with contact surfaces and no issue with transmission over contact surfaces like the cushions and tables and things like that. They don't feel as though that's any kind of a threat whatsoever to the transmission of the COVID. So I mentioned to him, and I'll mention it to the council now, that we've got several people that have mentioned about the cushions and being removed, and the fact that it's going to be a hardship on the
Derriere.
On the
well,
body.
derriere, but on the wooden chair, on the wooden benches. And I think that we can, based upon what I've read, I think we can dispense with having to remove the cushions. Now, that's something that you can discuss, but we do need to continue to social distance. We do need this hope that the people that have not been double immunized will hope that they will wear a mask, although we're not going to have any formal form of identifying that. But I think the issue with the cushions is become a moot point with regard as far as the CDC guidelines are concerned.
Oh, good.
Well, yeah, based on what you just said, I would think that the most important thing we need to do up there is to make sure that we have enough distance between people in attendance.
When I initially went up there and measured, I know Dennis came up with something different, but when I initially went up there and measured and figured out 6 feet, And we didn't quite make 6 feet within every other
Pew.
pew.
You.
It
Mhm.
ended up one pew skip two, one
Yeah,
pew
right,
skip
right.
two.
I think
One
that was
skip-
discussed, Jeffrey.
Yeah,
Skip
that's
two, what?
That's
I
what it
think
was.
that was discussed. That's how I was going to set up when I went down, but if we can leave cushions on, I'm more
Yeah.
than happy to leave them there.
Yeah, well, just as long as we're gonna skip two. Now, the only other thing that comes into play is that takes care of the forward and backward social distancing. The only other thing that comes into play is the lateral distancing, left to right, where you've got 2 pews next to each other. We're gonna have to somehow make sure that we jump the distancing with the left-hand side and the right-hand side of those middle pews.
We
That's
need,
all.
We can alternate them.
Yeah,
we need to stagger.
yeah, that's all I'm saying. So we just don't make sure we'd start in the same place, that's all.
Jeffrey, how do you want me to handle the choir?
I'm gonna check with the choir beforehand, but I'm of the understanding that the choir has all been fully vaccinated. I will check with them and find out if they have an issue being in the choir loft together. If they do, then we'll use both sides. If they don't, then we'll sit in the choir loft.
Okay.
Oh, we've got a dozen things that we're talking about. Where are they written down and evaluated and compared to the, like, how did you get from A to B?
Well, you go on the CDC website and you read their latest guidelines, Bob. That's how I got them,
On the choir, the last time we said we would hold it to like 2 people, not the whole choir.
Oh, yeah, for the summer, that's true. Yeah, absolutely. There's not gonna be any full choir for June, July, and August. Yep.
If somebody comes in and gets sick or something, we got nothing to show other than, well, so-and-so said this, and also now the person has a,
Let's face the music here. Between now and the year 2050, somebody in our church is gonna get sick. And we don't know where it's gonna come from. We just have to do our due diligence to make sure that we do whatever we can to make sure that,
our minutes isn't the plan. Our minutes is reporting where we're going.
right?
The plan has to be a plan that says, these are the items that we recognize. Yes, written guidelines and what we're gonna do or not, because like this thing about how many people are gonna sing and how many people are gonna stand up in the pew and sing, and, I mean,
I think we can worry about the
Yeah.
full choir, Bob, when it comes in August, when we start singing in
We
September.
already know there's no congregational singing.
somebody,
And the only singer you're gonna have to worry about is somebody in the 1 person, 2 persons in the choir loft
Oh.
during the summer months, June, July, and August.
well, we, on the other stuff we had it all planned out for the initial part of it, with the idea that we were gonna go into this other thing and so many weeks later, but the bottom line is, we need something that's written down. Just standing there saying, well, I read this and I read that, well, what else did you read? I don't know.
When they had the webinar, all right, with the COVID team, one of the things they said was no congregational singing yet. Okay? Yeah, you can't tell people not to sing, all right? But that recommendation from them is no congregational singing yet.
Right. But the thing is that, if it's important to your plan, then you do tell people, you say, look, this is what we're doing. Or if you wanted somebody to do something, but the thing is I'm not against what we're doing, but it needs to be organized somewhere and developed like so that people can see them. And if all of a sudden a person gets nervous, they can say, well, what about this item here? Because like, otherwise, it's just like this choir on singing and.
It'll be announced every Sunday. The pastor will start off with, the only people that should be singing are the people in the choir for the special music. I mean, that's the only thing. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed from what we discussed at the reopening meeting, with the exception of the cushions.
Where's the, but the point is, you don't have a written plan, period.
How can you have a rigid plan when the things keep changing? I mean,
Well-
up until this week, CDC hadn't said about leaving the surface. Okay, now they're saying,
I
oh,
would,
you can
I
leave.
would say, let's wait until May 29th. Baker's going to come out with new state regulations relative to mask wearing and where or when or not you need to wear a mask. Once he comes out with the new state guidelines, we could draft a very brief email that Kathy could put together and send to everybody that says, this is what we're going to be doing through the summer months, June, July, and August. And then in September, things will change. But we could get something put together in writing that could be distributed or emailed to the congregation that states what our quote unquote policy will be going forward through the summer.
We
I
can
mean-
add that to the notice saying the church is opening June, was it 6th?
6, yes.
Right. I mean, realistically, I would say we're probably going to be looking at an average of possibly 17, maybe 20 people per Sunday. So I don't think we're going to be pushing the sanctuary to its limits relative to attendance. So I think we could be able to easily accommodate who we're going to have.
Pastor, have you sent out the notice that we'll be restarting on June 6th?
I haven't sent out a formal notice yet, no.
Well, then when we do, we can just add the information about the congregational singing.
Yeah.
Wearing the masks. The only people singing will be the choir, special music, and just put that in it. That's all.
Yeah, I think it's just a short list of a bunch of bulleted items.
Well,
This
Well, I
is,
think one of the things we discussed was not having a bulletin that is handed out and
Right.
handled by different people, but bring your own as we've been sending them out each week.
sure, yeah.
You can receive the sermons and you print them out and you bring them to church if you want to come to church.
And that could all be part of the email announcing the reopening.
Now, did anybody receive, Kathy forwarded me, and I think some others, I'm not sure how many, the new regulations that they're having in her church, starting this coming Sunday.
I didn't see it.
I haven't seen that one.
Right. I'll have to forward that to you. They indicated a division in the church, so to speak, of those who are vaccinated can sit here. Those who are not vaccinated can sit over there and hopefully wear a mask. I am kind of leery about making such a division in our church.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think we can. I think the policy is you can't, there's no vaccine passport. So I don't think you can ask a person
I don't think you
if you're
can.
vaccinated or if you're not vaccinated. I mean,
The reopening committee already decided to make masks optional in the hopes that the people that were not vaccinated would be wearing a mask.
Under the honor system, right, Jeffrey?
yeah, that's what we discussed.
What we're hoping to do, yeah.
What's this, room service?
This is
Something like that.
Putting something together that gets us on around everything that we need to do so that we have it written down. We agreed what we're gonna do, so that doesn't change tomorrow. And,
Well, that's what he's gonna put in the email, yeah.
well, the thing is,
Yeah.
however they want to do that, but it would be good to type it out as a thing that says, say, look, this, we're addressing distance, we're addressing, space.
Masks.
When they send out the email, I'm sure they can print a copy.
And, how we're separating people. I mean, little things like, are we only gonna have like Barbara use the piano where we could maybe get her over out of the way? I mean, these seem small, but when you got them all down, then it's a matter of people going through it and getting something that you know what you're gonna do when you do it. Because otherwise, it's hearsay and it doesn't.
We're not gonna cover every base, and certainly something's gonna come up that we didn't think about when we have our first couple of meetings, and something's gonna change. That's inevitable.
That's
But
where you get it out and people read it.
we've gotta start
Well,
somewhere.
I mean, that's, and maybe the ushers need to have a discussion about this. I mean, or even before the first survey. Well, I won't be there, but, Bill, we don't have that many ushers, but I mean, if the few of us can get together and say, look, I mean, when we see a situation that needs to be adjusted, you step in and say, move back a pew.
That's one of the things that didn't get discussed was what are they gonna do about taking the offering? I think we're just gonna have to leave the plates in the back and let people leave the offering in the back.
Yeah.
We didn't discuss that, so that's
Don't pass it around.
there's 100 things that are gonna come up that we haven't thought about. We'll have to face them when we do. I think we've covered the major bases to keep everybody relatively safe as can be. And the little things that come up, we're gonna have to tackle them.
Well, I've thought about the offering a little bit. And leaving the plates in the back is an option. But putting them up in the front, I think might be a better option.
That's gonna make people go to the front.
It will make people go to the front, but I think from a standpoint of safety and security of the offering, I think up front would be a better place to have it.
So you want the ushers to empty each pew individually when that person comes back to do the next set of pews? So that nobody's bypassing each other?
But we could go, around in a circle like we do with the peace, something like that.
As long as people are staying roughly 6 feet apart, we could do it in a whatever counterclockwise rotation or whatever.
Mhm.
Like we do.
I don't think we discussed entrance and exit. Do you come up one side of the stairs and go down the other flight of stairs? Or vice versa, whatever. Or do we use the same entrance? Most of us, I believe, probably use the stairs across from the chair lift to go in and out.
Yeah.
So, do we want to continue in that vein? Since surfaces don't mean transmission, easy transmission, is it safe to use the stairs both ways?
I think your entrance and egress is minimal, yeah. I don't think.
Because
you're gonna have-
Barbara uses the stairs, and if Bradley's there, he uses the stair lift too, so. So do you want
I
to,
usually go up on the left and down on the right, so. If you want to designate one as entry and one as exit, we could do that.
I don't think it makes any difference, not with the amount of people we're gonna have during the summer.
I don't see it as an issue. It's not like we're gonna have 50 people coming up, arriving at one time.
Well, you still
We'd be
got
lucky to have 50 people altogether.
to. Which,
you got fewer people there than you meet in the store.
we still have to talk about ventilation and which way is the best way to lay it out. I mean,
I think that's already been handled, Bob, with the reopening. We're talking about the big attic fan and using the windows are open, so
Yeah,
that's already taken care of.
but the point is solar is always gonna go by the least resistance, all right? So you can set up situations where some areas are gonna have very little ventilation and others will have more. So so the thing is when a person goes out there, they gotta line it up and check it and do things so that they know what's the best way so that you're gonna get ventilation to everybody in the church, where it'd be better.
Well, I think the big attic fan sucks out the air from the back up by the altar and it draws everything out from the back of the church. So you're gonna be getting all the same ventilation, especially with the windows open.
I think what you should do is you should go.
Before we qualified the space downstairs that we used back a while, we went and walked that through and came up with a dozen different arrangements and then picked the ones that gave us the best security.
Best flow.
Yes, and but the whole thing is that when you pick your dates and stuff as to when you're gonna do something, when are you gonna have all of this stuff down? Like when the person misses something, another person when they're reading it go, well, what about this thing over here? And then once you get through that, then you're ready to roll. But you gotta do some dry runs and just make sure that you know you're getting what you want.
I think you should.
You're not writing it down. We just came up with a whole bunch of stuff here that wasn't even talked about 20 minutes ago.
I think you should talk to Dennis about the ventilation. He went through all of this at the.
It's a
Right.
reopening meeting.
Anybody that's concerned about the ventilation, go to church with a mask on.
The point is, it's just the way you lay it out. We're not trying to say you can't have ventilation. All we're
Well,
saying,
you're talking about having dry runs, Bob. Your dry run is June 5th, June 6th.
I think what Bob is saying is we need to have an idea of how effective that ventilation fan is in certain parts of the church. I mean, is it as effective in the back with all the windows open? Is it as effective in the middle with some windows open? We need to walk through the flow of what is going to be drawn and where it's going to be flowing by.
you've got those strips of paper hanging various places. We could put a strip of paper on the first floor in the vestibule at the bottom of each of the stairs. Open the windows, turn on the fan, see if they move. I believe that fan has a very high volume of air that it moves. I think it does a lot of very high cubic feet per second.
but it depends how you get your ventilation arranged and where it's going to go. It's like I said.
How are you gonna measure it, Bob?
Who do you think did the last one downstairs?
How are you gonna measure the flow?
I'm not gonna do it. All I'm saying is that it needs to be addressed and we need to have something that writes all this stuff down so that we know that we've got all of the items that are important, like we've come up with.
You can talk till you're blue in the face and you won't have all the items covered, not until you go to church. Something else will come up.
Well,
Was our meeting last week recorded? Can we have Kathy type up what we talked about?
Yes,
Yeah, it was recorded.
yeah, I believe she has gone through and typed up some notes. I don't know if she's sent them out.
I didn't.
I
see
haven't
anything.
seen them yet.
But I'm wondering if that will help start the writing our protocols down.
well,
Totally.
It probably should, yeah.
doing this stuff isn't all that difficult as long as.
Well, they could be attached to the minutes from this meeting as an appendix.
Addendum.
Yeah.
But the only thing I'm getting at is that we gotta make sure that we pick the date that that can support what we need to do to make sure that we're happy with what we've got. And the first thing you're doing is just making sure that you've addressed all the critical variables and what we think. The other one would be to get out and try some of this stuff and of course, we want to open it upstairs there, and of course it's doable, but we want it to be doable with accountability.
You had the.
Well, I can
you
tell you
had the-
right now, if you decide not to use the sanctuary and you use the fellowship hall, you're gonna lose some people.
You had the reopening committee, you had a vote on it, they decided on a date. I think that's pretty cut and clear.
And we voted the sanctuary.
Yeah, but what we're saying is that look, I'm not getting angry about anything, but the only thing we're saying is that if we don't we've got to put it together so that we have something that's in a general way so that, you know, it can end up as a checklist and all different things. And this is what we're going to do. And if we think there's some area we got to go out and look at, then we got to do that. The only thing is that nobody's against doing what we want to do. We just want to make sure that we've given ourselves enough time to do these things. I mean, like if you got something that's going to take you 3 weeks and you give yourself 2 days, I mean, that wouldn't be, I'm not saying that's what it's going to take, but using that as something, I mean, like when you're doing something. And
I will send out the email with the.
Well, that's not for a week and a half. I mean, there's plenty of time for anybody to go down there. If there's any questions about the proposed setup that's been discussed, put up some strips of paper, turn on the fan, open the windows and see what kind of ventilation or airflow we get. You know, there's still time to go down there and do a dry run.
well, that's just one thing out of the things that we brought up here. I mean, you know, whether we have any, you know, like you said, we're waiting for the stuff from the state and all of these different things.
Well, that's the mask mandate. I mean, I think we can, if the discussion is, or the concern is, are we going to get adequate ventilation? That could be pretty easily assessed in, you know, in the next couple of days.
Well,
Hank, you have any input on that?
Oh, you got him out of
Well,
it.
I'm not really that concerned about it at this point. I mean, as somebody said earlier, everybody's already got the double vax, so, and they've pretty much backed off on the surface of stuff they were saying at first a year ago. So I don't think we're really endangering anybody. I think we can go ahead and work on it as you go along. You know, there's always a joke in the military about the perfect plan disintegrates within the first 5 minutes of combat. And that's the trouble with it. You never can get the perfect plan. You do the best you can and then you adjust as you go along. That's all you can do.
well, yeah, but
We put them in an email.
the whole idea, Hank, is if you identify everything you think is critical, then you can develop a position that somebody can read or do whatever. And,
This discussion needed to take place during the reopening meeting. It didn't take place at the reopening meeting. The reopening committee decided to reopen on June the 6th. So we need to make sure that whatever we want to put in writing gets disseminated before June the 6th, because that's when the reopening committee said we were going to open up the church. That's what was voted on and decided by the reopening committee. So let's get something in writing. Let's get it out to the people. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be right. It's going to get adjusted. But let's get something out there and we'll go from there.
I'll check and see what Kathy's got on the reopening notes. And make sure that she records notes from this meeting as well. And somehow can combine them so we have as much on paper as we can possibly get. So we've had a lot of input tonight. And Some of it is duplicate from reopening committee and some of it is maybe new. But I think that if we can get the combined notes to both meetings, we should be able to have some idea of a plan. Maybe not the perfect one, but we should be able to have some written notation of what was discussed and where we want to be in 2 weeks.
And the bottom line is, again, without sounding, I'm not trying to sound crass, but the bottom line is anybody that's uncomfortable can either A, wear a mask, or B, continue to go to the service via the Zoom meeting. We're not going to discontinue the Zoom meeting. So if they're uncomfortable, if they're that uncomfortable, they can continue to come to the church meeting via Zoom or wear a mask. But we've got to get started here to find out what we did miss and what we did not think about so that we can fix it.
Don't forget, May 29th, the governor is going to come out with the new recommendations of what he's letting loose and so forth. So that's going to
Change.
probably free up a lot more things.
And the last I heard was that as of the mid-month, around the 15th of June,
Right,
the state of emergency is being lifted.
Yeah,
right.
I heard that too.
So what does that mean? That may give us more freedom.
Mhm.
I think it will, but my overall concern is for the safety of all that are involved in in-person worship. We don't know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't. I'm not willing to separate us by that point. In Kathy's church, they do. The vaccinated can sit here, the unvaccinated can sit here, hopefully with a mask and distanced, and they set it up a little differently for those not vaccinated. We said, I believe, at the opening committee that we would make masks the choice of the attendee. If you're not comfortable around people yet and you feel that a mask would help to contain whatever might be floating around or might be going on in your own body, then wear a mask. If you're comfortable without it, if you've been vaccinated and you're comfortable without wearing a mask, then by all means, exercise your choice. I think my choice for the congregation would be to continue with masks for everybody. I know that's not a popular position, but I think it's a safer position.
Well, I know the schools right now, everyone is masked inside, whether you're vaccinated or not. So
I wrote outside.
outside we can take it off, but not inside.
But that could change on the 29th.
Right. It could very well.
So we'll hold that particular mandate or non-mandate until the governor gives us further guidance, maybe.
And nothing's written in stone. I mean,
It's changing every day.
not to pick on the pastor, but nothing's written in stone. If we decide that something needs to be changed, I mean, we're not stupid people. We'll change it.
So are we set to go on the 6th?
Sure.
That's what we voted on.
Yep.
No
We'll
reason not-
have, we'll have
No
a,
reason not to.
we'll make sure that Kathy emails everybody or sends the letters out to everybody with what we've discussed, what we've talked about, what we would like to see at our in-person worship. I will talk to her tomorrow. And,
Thank you.
and see that that happens.
Info.
Meanwhile, you have Lori preaching on Sunday.
Mhm.
I'm going to try and stay away so she doesn't feel uncomfortable. But hopefully it will get recorded somehow and I can see it later. We'll see, right, Jeff?
Yeah, but we may want to get together again and make sure she can host the meeting again. So since we had so much trouble with this, but so we may need to get together again, but
That's
That's-
fine.
that's correct.
All right, so I guess we've discussed the main points that I wanted to bring up tonight. So now that the pastor's time is done, is there other business?
I think the old business and new business has been discussed too, because it was the church reopening.
Right,
Well, it was put there to move it up, just to hit this so that, because the pastor wanted to bring it up, and so that's why we moved it up to as old and new, meaning it started a while ago,
Okay.
and there's still a tomorrow.
we don't need to fit those two, because we already did.
Yes, we're done with all old and new. The next thing is the committee reports, finance.
From Charlotte as of May 25th. The Rockland Trust balance at that point was $24,724.13. The Cook Roofing, which was awarded the job to fix that little roof over the entrance to the office church, finally cashed their first check for $2,043, and we owe them that one, then one in the middle when they're halfway done, and one at the end. So we owe them two more when they complete. And the check for the garage door was sent out a couple weeks ago, but hasn't been cashed yet. Excuse me. And that's about it. That was a garage door that was a new garage door at the parsonage.
Well, they're getting a lot of upgrades this year.
Okay.
New driveway, new garage door. It needed it.
And I also say that the company that does the landscaping at the parsonage will also be doing the church lawn this year. I
Okay.
forget the name of the company, sorry.
The guy's name, right?
Yeah, Tom Jackowitz, I forget. Tom somebody.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, John's unable to do that this year.
Is John ill, Dan?
I'm not sure. I don't, he may have some issues, but
Okay,
I'm
'cause
not
I know
sure.
he's had a bad ticker, so.
well, I can identify with that one.
Mhm.
You have to make choices if you're working around your heart.
And just to let you know, this company that's doing the lawn, last year, they didn't send us a bill until like the end of September, first part of October for the whole summer. So,
Really?
yeah. Kind of wish they would send it as they do it, but
Yeah.
know.
Now, is that the guy that Dennis called?
Yeah.
Used
Yeah.
to do it?
The one that does the landscaping and everything at the parsonage, he's gonna come down here and do it for us. And I believe they've already have done it at least once.
Yeah, they did it I think last week.
Hmm.
They were down on Friday, I believe. I also talked to them about cleaning the chapel out beside the Sunday school rooms. And they said they'd also do that.
Okay.
Good.
So maybe Tricia gets the benches all finished and the grass is cut and clipped. Maybe we can meet outside.
Good.
I'll get through a couple of 6-foot speakers so the neighbors can hear what's going on.
Maybe we can get some people to come on in.
Yeah,
Okay. Did you want to go over your,
Give everybody sunglasses.
yeah, maybe we might want to ask people to bring umbrellas or something.
Oh, yeah. It's intense out there if it's sunny.
I might not want a robe outside.
Yeah.
now, do you have any finance?
Okay, real quick. Total income, 43,866.53. Spendable income, 43,419.53. Initial offering, 128. Ash Wednesday, 105. Easter Sunday, 870. Tithing Sunday, 300. If Kathy sends out an email, maybe she might want to remind people about tithing, which everyone has an envelope in their box. So if they want to give an additional amount, since there aren't very many people here tonight, but that would be a worthwhile announcement to get out. Roof and Beyond, $34,935. Umcor 100. And this is a Christmas offering that came in probably early this year, meant to be from last year, $100. Food Pantry 30. Pledge income, $22,135. Parsonage rental income, $9,416.25. Contribution from the trustees, $10,000. Spendable income per week, $2,068. If we wanted to meet the budget, we'd need $2,352. Running a slight deficit there. Checking account balance, $1,189.72. Second page, apportionments. We have made 4 payments this year. We are delinquent so far only 1 month, the month of May.
Not over yet.
Pledge report basically has already been stated. This is just background information. Fortunately, I think we're through with oil deliveries. The last one was, I believe, what was it?
April.
I think April 1st, something like that. So total gallons this year so far, 1,349.5 gallons. Average price per gallon, $2.41.2. Spent year to date, $3,248, which
That's all
the
right.
only year that we spent a little bit less was 2016. So not having people there and Dennis turning back the thermostats has definitely saved us money.
Can I just make an addition? I know that Daryl wrote the checking account balance is $1,189.72. But those of you that are on paid staff, Jeffrey and Dan, I've already deducted the payroll from the account. So don't worry about it. Your checks are good.
But yeah,
Wow.
payroll's already been accounted for. So that's actually not our actual balance because the money hasn't been taken out of the account yet.
It
for
won't be taken out until June 1st.
The impoundment date is March 28th. And the check date is June 1. So the bulk of it will be taken out on I mean, not March, I mean, May 28th, with a few checks.
Yeah, there's a few of you that direct deposit that will be taken out earlier than June 1st,
Yeah, it comes out of our account.
Friday.
It comes out of our account, but it may not actually show up in your account until June 1st, but it's deducted from our account to allow them time to make the transfer. So, but the bulk of the payroll will come out of the account on the 28th.
Real quick, Jeffrey, because you've had direct deposit for a while. Do you get it deposited a few days early?
I get direct deposit usually right on the first or second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it hits our account a few days before they actually receive the money. So that's the way it works. But between the direct deposits and the tax liability and the fee for the payroll company, that's all part of all the impoundment, and that comes out. There are only two people that get checks, I think.
Yeah,
Maria and Barbara, I believe.
right, correct.
But-
That'd be part of mine,
Pardon?
part of mine as well, the housing.
Well,
Yeah, your housing, yeah.
yeah, but that's checked directly from Cheryl to you, not through the payroll company.
Yeah. But it's coming out of our account.
Right. Like I said, I've made already the deductions about everything that has to come up with payroll and your housing, so. I just didn't want you guys to have a heart attack and only see $1,000 and say, wait a minute, I have to get paid yet.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. I feel better.
Okay.
Okay, so is there anything else that finance would like to bring up?
I think we've covered it.
And,
All right.
I think you covered the trustees.
Yeah,
Hank already discussed it.
Okay, you're all set. Okay. Anybody from SBRC that needs
Well,
anything to discuss?
I'm here, but I'm not aware of any issues that need to. No one has mentioned anything to me, so.
Oh, I still have a job.
Still have a job and you're on vacation and everybody knows you're on vacation, I hope.
I haven't had any emergency calls.
That's good.
All right. Is there anything else on SBRC? Okay.
No, there's nothing right at the moment.
Christian education, I don't think there's
Nobody
any.
here. Jeff is worship.
Hmm?
Jeff is worship.
Okay. Anything for worship committee?
Nothing other than the information that we discussed about the reopening. And we'll continue to work closely with everybody to try and make it a safe and enjoyable and enlightening experience every Sunday.
Okay. Is there anything else, Jeff, or anybody?
No, we'll go back to meeting in September, I'm sure. As far as the music is concerned, we're in the midst of lining up our special music so that we have something every week once we open up. And the first week, Ray is doing a solo with Barbara. That's on the 6th. So.
I don't know what you're smoking.
First you hear of it, huh?
We're in the midst of lining up all the special music and getting ready to get restarted again. We'll probably, choir will restart right around the middle of August, so. on a
You need the calendars again, Jeffrey?
Say calendars,
You
please.
want your calendars again?
Yeah, well, yeah, we missed this year, but we'll need them again.
Okay,
Okay, I guess that's all set for you, Jeff.
Yep, I'm good.
Outreach,
There's nothing new to report. We're still waiting on the water ministry. We don't really have anybody to do it right now anyway, so. And as far as I know, the community dinners are still grab and go.
Jane, I try and make sure that there's water there. I know you haven't been having the water ministry, but do you have sufficient water at the present time?
I honestly don't know. I know there's water there, but I think it's from a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
So,
I haven't, because I haven't bought any in, since this whole COVID thing started, so I'm not aware that.
So
Just somebody's got to let me know, that's all. I mean, I'll provide the water. I just got to, when you start it up again.
okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm not
Thank you,
sure.
Jeffrey.
We can't get volunteers together just yet, so
Yeah,
we're working on it. I have to get Daphne up there again. All right, then there's nobody from higher ed. That's Cindy.
okay, there's somebody from higher ed that's tonight, so I guess the only thing we got left is when do we want to have another meeting? Do we want to wait until July or in June or what?
I'll skip this summer altogether.
I think, Bob, you definitely want to make sure you have one in June. I'm sure we'll have stuff to discuss and figure out after we restart and things that may need changing, so.
Well, that'll put us near the end of June, so we'll have plenty of history by then.
Well,
Now supposedly things are changing June 15th too, so that will affect things too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I guess the question is, if we maintain having the meetings on a Wednesday, we've got the 16th, the 23rd, or the 30th.
I think you got to at least go to the 23rd, Bob, because you got the new guidelines coming out the 15th. We'll want to see those. So give us some time.
Right.
So at least the 23rd.
Okay. Okay, so you want to do with the Wednesday, June 23rd?
23rd is good with me.
that sounds like a good one.
Wednesday.
Me.
Harry, you all right with that?
Yeah, that's the first day of my summer camp program, but so I'll take a nap before the meeting.
Okay.
No, not during.
Like I
What?
did.
Because I thought you were taking a nap for this one.
No, I was listening.
Oh, I mean, would you rather push it off to the 30th? Is that easier for you?
Get a little more time. Terry can get rested up.
Well, my summer program's for 6 weeks, so,
That's-
but I get out at 2, so,
Oh, you'll be all right then.
yeah, I'll be all right for
By
this.
7 o'clock, you have your rest.
Yep, exactly. I'll be ready for my second round.
There you go.
We want it to be the 30th, because that's where people are going to be going away for 4th of July.
Yeah, no, yeah, stay with the 23rd.
But just to put things into context, on June 5th is when we're going to be opening up, I guess.
6.
The 6th, Bob.
Ah. What's wrong with
This
that?
is Sunday.
All right, the 6th. So we basically got 7,
So I'll give you a couple weeks to see how
yeah,
it goes.
you basically got about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah,
So, okay, so let's make that.
23rd.
all
All right.
set. Okay, does anybody have anything else they want to bring up?
No. No.
Then could we have a closing prayer, Pastor?
I suppose I could handle that. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we do thank you for being with us tonight. We thank you for the opportunity to meet and worship together once again. And we ask for your guiding hand and your spirit with us as we do once again open our sanctuary. Help us to praise and to thank you for all of your love for us and your care for us. And do it together. So we thank you, Lord, especially for your guidance on this meeting tonight, and ask that you would be with us as we continue in going forward. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, thank you for everybody's participation and
Have a safe week, everybody.
Everybody stay safe. See everybody Sunday.
Night all.
Oh, Zoom.
Night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
I know.
All right.